tell my mom to. Okay. Gotta think about it. Okay. I think, hold on. Gotta think. Okay, I got it. Welcome to my mom's page and make sure to like this video because it's gonna be so cool. That's your hint.
Welcome back. So sorry that I have not been posting. However, I have just started working in my brick and mortar school again, and as you know, it can be very tiring because right now we are working in the virtual space and it is so different from being in a regular classroom. So I've just had to really focus and catch up on being a teacher again, you know, with my regular students. And now I'm teaching 2 different classes, so I'm grading way more papers, dealing with way more parents. So, anywho, it's just been a lot. But now, back to our VIPKid video. I previously told you that I would record a video about how to pass your upper level mock level interview. So in my first video, I talked about the lower level kids. So that's more like, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6. In this video, we're going to focus more on your upper level VIP kids. So they're going to be more 7, 8, and 9-year-olds. So it's going to be a little bit different. You still want to, you know, use repetition and things like that, but you're not going to use as much of it because they're a little older and they've probably already been exposed to English. They've probably already taken a few VIPKid classes. So you're not going to have to do as much as far as making sure they understand what you're saying rather than making sure that they actually comprehend like what you're going over. So the things that I did well, it says you had the student repeat all of the new difficult words at least 2 times. So we're still sticking to our repetition. You check to see if the student retained the new vocabulary word. When your student made mistakes, grammar, pronunciation, synthetic phonics, you corrected most of the errors and had the student repeat the correction. You isolated a mistake using a visual cue. So they are big on not just telling them the answer or telling them that they were wrong or, you know, asking them how to fix it. You're basically just telling them the right answer by repeating what they said to try to get them to realize they said it incorrectly. Or you're repeating it, but you're saying it the correct way. So once they say it again, they're going to realize, oh, okay, that's how I should have said it. So they're going to repeat it the correct way. It says you consistently encourage your student to speak in full sentences. So they don't want them answering, remembering those one-word sentences. They want them to use a full sentence, a subject and a predicate. If they just say yes, they want you to be like, okay, yes, I flew a kite. Because they want them to use an entire sentence. Or kite. They don't want them to just say one word. Remember, they want them to say, it is a kite. So you're still focusing on making sure that they speak in full sentences. You asked level appropriate questions, gave positive, meaningful responses, and asked follow-up questions. You spoke at an appropriate pace for your student. Remember, you're not going that slow because they're a little older. So you don't have to say, that is a kite. You can be more like, that's a kite. What color is the kite? So you can talk a little faster because they'll be able to understand what you're saying because like I said, they've pretty much, some of these people have had hundreds of VIPKid classes already. So they kind of understand exactly what they're supposed to do. You used a few supplementary props. Remember, props are important, whether it's something that you print, whether it's a toy, a stuffed animal, whatever it is, you just need to have like a variety, 2D and 3D. So you may have some that are just paper, but you also want to try to use some that, you know, maybe an actual toy that you have, or maybe whatever you're talking about, you have the actual object. You broke down material into steps to help the student understand and complete tasks. So maybe they have to drag and drop, and they have to circle, or maybe they have to They have to type something, and they have to, you know, circle it or check it. They have to do more than one thing once they get to this upper level. You demonstrated, explain new material before having the student practice. So you're making sure that you're modeling. Whatever you want them to do, you're showing them what you want them to do. Like, you may do the first one for them, or you may give them an example and then let them continue. You had a reward system prepared, which you introduced at the beginning of class. So you're like your first or your second slide, you're going to be introducing your reward system. So you'll be introducing your reward system. For the upper level kids, I was told they like guessing games. Like, you know, maybe you do like a tic-tac-toe or you do like a hangman. They have to guess the answer, you know, one word, and they can work on filling in the letters throughout. With the lower level kids, it's a little different because, you know, they're not as experienced with those type of games. Some of them have never even heard of simple games like tic-tac-toe. So it's going to vary as, you know, they get older. You use it consistently and combined it with verbal praise. They want to hear good job or great or yes, you're doing great. They want to see you, you know, clapping, high-fiving. They are very big on making sure that you are recognizing them for doing well. You did a fair job of encouraging student output. Your students spoke around 50% of the time, and you encouraged them to speak on every slide. You did well creating rapport by having a warm greeting introducing yourself, having the student introduce themselves, and asking a level appropriate question. So when you first start, you want to build rapport, but remember, you don't have that much time to do it. So you're going to ask a few simple questions like, what's your name? How are you doing today? Did you go to school today? Something simple where they can quickly answer, you know, yes, I went to school today. I had fun. You know, something like that. Or, you know, my name is Babo. I'm doing good today. You know, and then you start the lesson after that. So just something, you want to ask them a few questions. You know, I'm teacher Kesey, and then you move on, ask them about themselves, maybe ask them how old they are. And then you move on into the lesson. You know, like, are you ready to start? Okay, great. Then you go on, but you have to make sure you have a proper introduction first. You maintain rapport throughout the lesson. You introduce the lesson on the first slide. Your setup was good, lighting, background, good headset, internet connection. They're looking at all of that. You don't want it to be too dark. You don't want it to be too bright. You want to make sure you have on headphones. They're really big on having the headphones that have the little boom microphone. You want to make sure that your internet is not, you know, going in and out. Like, you want everything to be set up. You want your background, you want to have some kind of educational stuff. So they're looking at all of that. You were patient and you gave the student enough time to respond. You were consistently smiling and positive throughout the class. You're dynamic and your energy was great. Higher sometimes and lower other times. They definitely want to see you smiling, being happy, being positive. Never correcting them, you know, when they're wrong, but just trying to repeat it and get them to repeat it. Also, you're not really, I learned, like, going through some of the other little lessons in VIPKid, you're not supposed to, like, point to say you. That's kind of rude. You're supposed to do it more like this with the open hand. That's something that I learned too. And their number counting is a little different. So, like, we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I think their 5 is more like this, or they're 6, one of them. So, like, their numbers and stuff is all a little different. So that's something that'd be good to learn too. And once you you get hired, they have like little workshops and stuff where you can learn more about their culture. So, areas for improvement. When ensuring students use sentences, encourage them to come up with their own sentences. Try to manage your time so the student can meet the objectives. Remember, the classes are really only about 25 to 30 minutes long, so you're only really doing about a minute per slide. Be sure you have reviewed the objectives prior to class and think of some strategies ahead of time for when a student isn't understanding or is losing interest. They also have little stickers that you can use, like it'll like put food or animal or something on top of your head. I've noticed that they like things like that. I know other people use other type of programs and apps like Minicam and things like that. I haven't tried them, but I know it's like a way you can give them digital rewards. If you are moving quickly through the lesson, be sure to encourage discussion. So that's just asking them like, what color is that? Or how many do you see? Or what do you see? Or who is that? So you're asking them more questions other than just what you see on the screen. Remember not to skip any lesson content. Be sure to meet all the lesson objectives as well as the individual slide objectives. Ensure you teach the objectives efficiently and in a logical order. At this level, the student should speak 70% of the time. So remember, they told me what I did well on, they spoke about 50% of the time. So they were saying that's good, they were speaking, but they want them to speak even more. You're really more like of a facilitator right now. You're trying to get them to say as much as possible. Even in the younger groups, you're still trying to make sure that they are always answering and that you're not really answering for them. You're just kind of guiding them to get them to say the correct answer. Be sure to have your students speak on every slide. So it's not just a lecture like, brick and mortar. You may tell them all of the rules and then have them, work on it with you. It's nothing like that. They're supposed to be speaking back and forth with you every time. Be sure your student isn't just repeating you, but is challenged to answer questions and come up with their own sentences. Present the lesson content by using different teaching approaches such as acting, getting into character, modulating your voice, singing, being enthusiastic, body language, tools, etc. So I've seen like a lot of fun teachers, they dress up, they know how to sing. They may start off playing, a piano or guitar or something like that. When they change slides, they may be like, what do we do? Or they may be really high. What do we do next? And then they may whisper, what do we do now? So it's like they're going back and forth. They're getting in and out of character. So they like to see that because, basically it's engagement. It's like they're making them paying attention. Like, oh, she's yelling now or she's whispering now. I'm going to whisper too. So they're big on that too. So in this one, as you can see, I had way more areas with things that were under the areas where you did well rather than areas where I need to improve. Of course, I still had things that I needed to work on, but I still passed this mock level interview. I passed it on the first try too. So basically, I think as long as you're really excited, you're positive, you're smiling, you're making sure you're meeting the objective, even if you're not kind of sure, what exactly to say, but you're still making sure you're sticking to what the slide says, then you have it. Make sure you have your reward system. Make sure you have your different types of props. Make sure your background and everything is set up. So even if you're not sure about like what strategies to use, as long as you have everything else together, I think, they're still going to give you credit for that. Like, hey, she was really prepared. Even though she kind of messed up. Because on one of the slides, I really did mess up. I think I said the same thing or I asked the wrong thing. I did something, but they understood because they could tell like where I messed up at and how I messed up. So, they still gave me credit. Like, hey, they just told me like, hey, you need to make sure you do this. And we talked about it at the end of it. So I do think it's really good to make sure you go through like that practice room and you do like that practice mock lesson because it'll really prepare you and have you, ready for when you take this mock level interview. And then you too can also pass on your first try. So since I've been teaching in my brick and mortar school, I haven't taught any classes in these past few weeks. So hopefully in the next few weeks I can get back more into the habit of doing both, and then I'll have another update for you. But other than that, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Any questions you may have, anything else you want to know, make sure you let me know in the comment box, and I hope to see you on my next video.
Make sure you watch it. Bye. This is my mom.